How y'all doing? It has been, yeah, exactly. That's how I feel right now. So it has been a crazy last 2 weeks, and we have been getting a lot done here on the homestead. And I wanted to take y'all around this morning and show y'all what we've been doing. Try to add some humor to it, make it funny. And I know there's a lot of OG subscribers that I have, and they always love to stay up to date with the things that we're working on and our projects. You know, when we're making these more kind of simpler videos with dad out in the food forest and talking about certain topics, those videos are kind of really the biggest blessing for me, because I can keep putting videos out for y'all while me and the boys are out here working. But yeah, we've been putting in some long days here on the homestead, and I wanted to show y'all what we've been up to. So here on the homestead, we've been working on fencing in our whole entire property, because we've kind of ran into a situation here. And the deal is that we have about 20 cows over at the ranch property, and then on top of that we have 6 horses over here. So if we put all those 6 horses we winter them here on the homestead back over to the ranch to start grazing again, that will be 26 animals over there eating on a 14-acre pasture. It's a 25-acre ranchette, as they say down here, since it's so small. But we were like, you know what? We've been brush hogging. Well, this will be 1/3 of what we've been working on. So here you go. This will be the grand reveal here. See how far that goes? It pretty much goes for infinity. This is about a 1,000-foot stretch here for the first side of the property here. The rest of the property is fenced. It's fenced actually on the other side of this brush, another 1,000 feet or so. So we're just gonna make a little fence connecting it over there. I'm gonna get a lot of people that are gonna be like, what the heck? There's only 3 wires on that fence. What are y'all doing? So anyway, we've experimented with having 3 wires on our fence, right? And for now, we're just keeping horses on this piece of property. So up where they're at right now, where we're wintering them in a little tiny pasture area, we just have 3 wires, and they stay in there perfectly fine. And we're like, heck, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? So I don't know about y'all, but man, go out to your local feed store, hardware store, and see how much the heavy gauge barbed wire is going for. And it will absolutely blow your mind. So this nice heavy gauge, I know it looks thin gauge on the video camera, but this is actually really heavy gauge. Dang it, I forget the name, the brand name of it. It's only double barb there, but it's about $10 more a roll if you want that 4-point on there. But anyway, $120, $110 a stinking roll. You can kind of see how straight it is. It's kind of hard with the train, but if you do notice, for the very astute over there, it does bend a little bit, because we had to cheat it around a big old oak tree. And I'm like, I'm not a fan. I'm definitely not a fan of cutting down these beautiful oak trees here. I'm gonna be building my house right over there, and it's gonna be facing out to this beautiful, look at that. I didn't plan this, but God did. Look how beautiful that looks here, y'all. And there's still brush and crap, but this is what I love. The morning sun and even the evening sun coming through the trees like that, and it just looks glorious. There's a big old pretty field that you can't see right now, but it's right on through those trees when we clear it out. Buddy put up this beautiful no trespassing sign right here, so it reminds me that I'm on my own property, and it's private too. That's pretty cool, huh? So I just wanted to say one thing. It's definitely absolute blessing that this is happening right now, and we're working on it right now, because the hottest day that we've been working in is 90 degrees. which is nothing. We put up fence before, me and the boys have put fence up in 105-degree weather. That's when it gets a little toasty. If you want a little tip on how to spot out out-of-state people, this is the best advice I can give you. Listen to how they talk about the weather. In the last week, I've heard some people talk about the weather, and it is the funniest thing I've ever heard. And it's only women too that really talk about it. The men don't complain, which is good. They shouldn't, because they're men. But the women complain about it. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. I'm like, you ain't from around here. They're like, it's so hot. It's like 70 degrees out early morning. It's so hot. Where are you from? So this is what we use on our buggy to spool out the wire. We use this 2 different ways. We will, if the pathway is too small for the buggy and the buggy can't fit in it, like certain spots where the tree's too close to the fence line or whatever, and we can't leave some T-posts out and wiggle around it or whatever, trains, we will just pull this thing on out like this by hand, which makes it really easy. Or the second thing is that you hook that end to your main post, your H-brace, at the one side of the fence, and then you just take your buggy and you just go right on down the line. So that's what we use. 2 uses for this. This is actually from our neighbor. He lets us borrow it. And it's a pretty cool rig. He rigged it up so you could put 5 spools on it, and he tried it and it doesn't work. It might be able to work with 2 lines probably. It could probably do 2 lines, but you would need a guy back here making sure that those 2 lines don't get all tangled up. Praise the Lord for all-terrain vehicles, because man, this would have taken us probably a good solid week to do it, instead of, 2 days. So fencing is some of the hardest, most brutal work you could ever do. It's not that hard. It's really easy if you're in like a big open field or something stupid like that, which is ideal. But when you're running it through this and you have to clear a somewhat perfectly straight path through incredibly thick forest, then that's what makes it a little bit more difficult. So we put up our H-brace, and as you can see, we double lined it. Now there's some super OCD people, and they'll go like this, and then they'll go like this, and then they'll go like, okay, but it's fine. We just did one there. So but as y'all can see, there's about 200 T-posts running down this side here. It's a pretty dang long stretch here. I'll tell you what, I mean, pounding in that many T-posts, I mean, I've told people like, oh, I'm working on a fence, and they kind of just are like, yeah, I know, yeah, cool. Like, yeah, put in 300 T-posts, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. But, most people they can't even comprehend what type of work goes into doing that, and every time you put up a line, you got to walk down this whole thing and then back on up. Unless you can tighten all 3 wires at the same time. But we spaced these 10 nubs apart, so that if we ever do want to run cattle in here with some smaller calves and things like that, we can just add us 2 more lines here. So it makes it easy. So it's kind of future proof. Now, the other thing was our neighbor gave us this tip. He said, you boys should probably put you a gate somewhere on this side of your property, because that's not our property. you know, just in case any critters get out, or you just need access to that property, or maybe vice versa, your neighbors need access to your property. They don't got to go all the way around up front and then come back here. So there's this perfect logging road that's right on through here. When the loggers came in, and they just kind of did some thinning. They didn't clear cut anything, hence why there's still big, pretty old trees. So here's another tip that our neighbor taught us. So you got this tree right here, right? And you're pulling it with your buggy or whatever. Leave the T-post out here, and you can get on and weasel around your tree here. You can see we did it up there because there's another tree, and then actually up there's another tree too. We had to do it, and it worked beautifully. So you just weasel around here, and we laid out all three. You have to lay out all of your strands before you put them up, because if you put up one, right, and then you go to do the other one, then you can't get through here because the line's up here and you can't squeeze through. So you lay all three of your lines out. I wouldn't even want to even comprehend or think about doing this with 5 or 6 strands at a time. I would lose my mind. With the first strip up there, I actually pulled that all by hand. Because it was just a little too narrow for the buggy to get through. This one was fine. We could actually weasel our way through here. This was definitely a big stinking ordeal. I'll tell you one thing. One of the trickiest things was clearing this line. We had 2 points. We had the point from the back here. That was, you know, the surveyors marked it. And some real smart boys from the surveyor club came out here and surveyed it. Wasn't like we paid them lots of money to do it or anything. So it would have been really convenient for them to put up some posts or T-posts, which normally they do, but you know, I do not know why they do not do. They didn't. They only gave us 2 posts, one at the front of the property, one at the back. So when you're doing 1,300, 1,400 feet of fencing, it's a long stretch through brush. I challenge you to find the thickest part of your woods, like that thick, and try to walk straight through that. Man, you will get all twisted around when you're trying to put a perfectly straight line through it. So what we did is we got the Go Hunt app, not sponsored, and love to be though, and it shows you all of your property lines, and it's more accurate than Google Maps. We tried Google Maps. That's a bunch of bull duke. So trust me, we did this whole thing a couple times with Google Maps, and we're like, well, that ain't gonna work. So we found the Go Hunt app is really, really good, and they have a free version and everything like that. So that's what we used, and it shows you where you are, in which direction you're pointed, and it shows you your property line. So we got this big old trail cleared out here, and then we ran our line through here, and then we cleared off of that. We put a post at the back and a post at the front, and ran us a little pink string all the way up front. So certain guys will go ahead and run their barbed wire for your string, and you could totally do that, but we didn't have our H braces set yet. So anyway, in all, we set about 7 H braces. It's a good chunk of work, but what really saved our bacon was our neighbor let us borrow his auger. And I'm telling you what, y'all, there's people out there that hate on their neighbors. They don't like their neighbors. Y'all, I absolutely love my neighbors, every single one. And I'll tell you what, they're pretty much, they are my best friends, because, and you better make sure that your neighbors are your best friends, because you need somebody that'll have your back when it gets tough. So I borrowed his the spooler for the barbed wire and his auger. And you know what? He was like, well, I'll go ahead and borrow your brush hog. So he went ahead and borrowed my brush hog. So there you go. So if you are thinking about homesteading or getting into a community, I very much dislike people that will come into a community and only take from the community and the resources that people have been putting in blood, sweat, and tears for, and they will just come and take, and I absolutely hate that. If you are considering moving somewhere where it has a real good old-fashioned community, think about what you can offer to the community. Do you got a pickup truck? Do you have a tractor? What type of equipment do you have? Maybe just some straight up hard labor too, you know, all those type of things. Heck, you got a lot of money. There you go. So all those things are very important to having a good relationship with your neighbors. And it really makes me sick when I hear some people talking bad about their neighbors, and all the people I've ever heard that talk bad about their neighbors are a bunch of out-of-staters, and it's terrible. So tip for anybody moving here, just shut up and be nice, okay? What's Beans doing? How's Beans? Beans is pregnant, like beyond pregnant. She's going to be having her piglets in June, I'm pretty sure. Pretty dang sure. Beans is always the cleanest pig. She is. She don't stink. You always smelling good, girl? Oh, yeah. She's like, could you rub my belly? Could you rub my belly? No, Hamilton, on the other hand, he stinks, man. Kind of nasty. Got that afterglow effect when you rub on him, but he still likes his belly scratched every once in a while. So they got their bucket of water here, but also we have them a pig wallah up there at the top of the hill, so that when the water splashes out of it, which it will, or it seeps into the ground, it will actually come down this hill, which it's just a gradual slope, and it'll come and water these trees also. And as y'all can see, look how beautiful those trees are. Gorgeous. This orchard actually is probably only 4 years old, probably. Some people might be asking, why in the world are your pigs in your orchard? Well, as you can see, they keep it nice and mowed down. We have not had to mow this orchard at all. Also, with the coonies, they don't till up. They till a little bit, but not much. The most erosion that we've ever had is that right there. Right there. And that's perfectly fine, in our opinion, because it's just a light little bit of tilling underneath the trees. And that's fine because that's taking out all of the weed competition under there and exposing the root flare a little bit. So that's fine with us. And they fertilize the food forest. Now, you wouldn't want to permanently keep them in here, or, you know, like for a year or more. That could be devastating because they just get a little too comfortable in here, and then, you know, if they scratch on the same tree for a couple years straight, you know, that tree might just die. Also, I had to put up this cattle panel here to protect our mulberry tree here. It's been eaten down a couple times. We put sheep in here, and then the sheep ate it all down. So, other cool fact, if you have fig trees, they will not touch your fig trees in the sense of eating them. They might still sit on them if they're little tiny fig trees, but they will not eat them because of the sap that's in there. They don't like that sap. But mulberries, on the other hand, they love. And if this tree was not gated here, it would be destroyed. So in our back pond back here behind me, we've been considering putting fish in it for the longest time. And we finally bit the bullet and went out and bought 100 bass and 100 catfish. and we threw them on in there. And I don't know about y'all, but I absolutely love bass fishing. One of my favorite chillaxicating that I like to do. If I have a couple hours to spend, I love going fishing, and especially bass fishing, or bass catching more likely. So anyway, got 100 bass, 100 catfish. They were about $1 each for 8-inch bass. I'll go ahead and play y'all that footage right now of them going and putting the bass and the catfish in the pond.
All right, go ahead.
Ready? No.
So we got 100 catfish and 100 bass.
Yeah, let me just cut.
Oh, they're coming out. Oh,
Here
look.
they come.
Here they come. Now they're all feeding on the ground now.
Oh, you got
Look
them.
at the catfish.
Those ones are a little easier, huh?
Well,
There
look
they
at them.
are. Yay!
I don't know about that one. Look at him.
Oh,
Oh.
push him back in, Jetty. Push him back. Go back, little guy. He's going the wrong way. There he goes.
Oh, he's
There he
swimming
goes.
outside.
There he goes.
Oh, nice.
Yes, push him in.
Oh.
Push him in there.
Look at that one. He's swimming so
Oh, yeah,
slow.
look, there's catfish already
Uh-oh.
over here. Look, chasing tadpoles.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
they're eating them.
So anyway, absolutely excited and stoked about the bass and the catfish being in the pond. The beautiful thing is that, man, we get tens of thousands of tadpoles this time of the year in that pond. And if they don't get eaten, we will literally have an Egyptian plague here on the farm. So I'm very happy that we have bass and catfish in there that will be eating those tadpoles. More likely the bass will eat most of them. So that is very good, and I'm very happy about that. Also, bass, once they get bigger, what are you doing? You got an itchy nose? They'll be able to eat some of the snakes and different things like that. So that's all good. Right now, they have plenty of forage, but through the winter we might feed them a little bit of food or something like that. What? We thought about putting crappie in there, but they didn't have any, and we actually got it from a local fish truck that was passing by, and he only comes once a year, so it was just perfect timing. Our neighbor told us about it. He was gonna go pick up some fish. We picked up some fish, so it was all good, and just really excited. And I mean, the tank's only about 300 feet away from the house, so there will be absolutely no excuse for me not to be fishing out here once they get a little bit bigger. Yeah, so I'm excited to get these horses out to the new pasture / brush, and they will be saving me days of brush hogging and mowing out there to keep down the grass and the thorns and the weeds. And they actually have already demonstrated to me about, 1/4 of an acre or so of woods back here, and they keep it perfectly tidy and clean, and it's awesome. But I think that does it for today's video, y'all. Hopefully y'all liked it, and if you would want to see more update videos out here on the homestead, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and do all those things. Love y'all so much, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.